Chapter 4, Setting Strategic Direction. Strategic management involves setting strategic direction. Strategic direction provides the framework that guides the accomplishment of the organizational goals by restructuring the department's mission, values, and operational systems and core functions, methods, incentives, accountability, distribution of power, and the culture to achieve more effective policing. So by setting the direction, police chiefs, police executives transform their organizations from reactive organizations that respond to complaints after they have occurred to proactive organizations that seek to prevent crime before it takes place. And that's a very big thing today when it comes to policing is, yes, they have to be reactive, but being proactive as much as possible is where they all desire to be, because that means you're preventing crime. A strategic organization is one that has developed the ability to initiate and reshape its operational strategies and tactics in a variety of ways that allows it to effectively fulfill its public safety mission and prevent crime while increasing its value and legitimacy in the eyes of the community. It does this by acquiring, analyzing, and transferring information, community processes, technology, analysis about its environment. So a strategic organization is one that it's in tune with its community. It knows what's going on, but it's also utilizing technology and and intelligent policing, analyzing data to make sure that they're also doing smart policing. So a lot of people who may have thought law enforcement agencies, the police department, were primarily reactive. No, this is a lot of stuff that they do to try to be proactive and try to stay in tune with what's going on in their communities. Transformation of information into intelligence allows organizational managers to create operational strategies that are designed to increase organizational effectiveness. This process transforms departments into learning organizations. Learning organizations systematically identify and analyze the driving forces that are affecting them, evaluate their response to these, and adjust their operations based upon evaluation. So the organization is going to take their lead from their leaders, the executives. And these executives, their goal is, particularly in the larger cities, you're going to see is to transfer them departments into learning organizations. They want them to learn. They want them to adapt, do an analysis, and evaluate what's going on. So if you could think about this, these organizations are in constant movement. They never rest on their laurels. It's in constant movement because information is coming in, information is going out. Things are coming in to be analyzed. They're making decisions, changing stuff. So it's constant flow, it's constant movement. So it's a lot of moving parts that's going on. And this is not even involving actual crime. This is just within the organization, the police organization itself. Role of leadership and management: to develop the capacity for their organizations to interact, understand, and respond to the needs of their external environment with the internal resources and capabilities of the organizations. So it's to lead, to tweak your organization and get it to such that it can actually respond to what's happening in the environment. Not only respond to what's happening in the environment, but have a good idea what's going on in the environment as well. That's the proactive side of it. Strategic management challenges for police executives: can their departments develop the capacity to obtain and analyze information and data about their environment driving forces? There's no such thing as too much information. So however they get intelligence and data, whether it be from beat officers, uniform officers, specialized units, other law enforcement agencies, confidential informants, however it may be, defendants, they take that information and they use that to help them to be proactive to policing their communities. Can these departments develop a flexible strategic response to these external forces? Yes, they can. And they have to. If they didn't, things would run amok. People, you hear about a lot of times what law enforcement did when they arrested somebody. What you don't hear a lot of times is when law enforcement prevented somebody from doing something, because that may not make the news. How do they accomplish and how do they accomplish this given their department's resources and operational capability? They accomplish this by planning, being strategic. You have people, executives and the leaders, they have vision and strategy. And they know their vision is where they want to go. Strategy is how they get there. And they get their police officers and everybody in the organization to execute on that. Elements of strategic direction: a shared sense of purpose, a positive organization culture, accountability, desire for continuous improvement. So when you look at these elements of strategic direction, it's multifaceted. One of the first things you look at, a shared sense of purpose. People believe in, the purpose. Everybody's on the same sheet of music about that. A positive organizational culture. That is something that's right now, that's really tough out here in law enforcement, local law enforcement. A lot of local law enforcement agencies are struggling with morale. And the cultures and stuff in some of these places are not as great as they used to be. Accountability. Everybody has to be held accountable from the top to the bottom. And that must be indiscriminate about when it comes to actually holding people accountable. Desire for continuous improvement. Remember I said they never rest on their laurels. There's things constantly coming in and out. So desire for continuous improvement is necessary because things are changing around them at all times. Strategic direction is defined by a department's vision, mission, values, operational strategies, and tactics. Accountability, systems, a shared sense of purpose, a strong, positive organizational culture. So when you look at a strategic direction, look how this correlation of these things come into play. First of all, that vision, that is the executive. That's going to be the chief of police or whomever. The mission, once he decides what the mission is, working with his executive board, then they determine the values. Operational strategies and tactics. This is getting down in the lower levels and stuff about how to go about executing on that mission. Accountability systems. What systems do you have in place for accountability? And I just give an example. One of the things they have in place is internal affairs to investigate, to hold officers accountable for misconduct and wrongdoing. Cameras. Now, you have cameras to also help, body cams that they wear. A shared sense of purpose. Again, everybody believing in what you do. A strong, positive organizational culture. That is very, very important. And again, right now with local law enforcement across the country, this is one of the things that they're struggling with more than anything else, is the morale and the culture. Chief executives. This will be your chief of police and his executive staff. Set and implement a strategic direction. So they decide where we want to go and why we want to go there. They sell it to the internal and external stakeholders. Your internal stakeholders is everybody within the organization. Your external stakeholders is going to be like your mayor. It's going to be like your politicians. It's going to be like your community that you're dealing with. Empower employees to fulfill it. You got to, once you come up with that strategy in that direction, you have to empower folks to go out there and execute on it. Again, you push the bird out of the nest and fly. You can't clip their wings. Restructure the organization to achieve it. If you need to tweak your organization, which I've seen this a lot of times where they would change the structure within the organization in various capacities so that they can achieve that mission. Developing a shared sense of direction requires creation of a strategic vision, creation of an organizational strategy that operationalizes the vision, mission, core functions into action, mobilization of employees to support the mission, the vision, identification of outcome goals, fixing accountability for achieving outcome goals, ongoing assessment of accomplishment. So again, this starts with the creation of that vision. And then after that, the vision, the strategy comes in. Getting the right people in place is the mobilization of people to support it. Not just putting people in place, putting the right people in place to support. Identification of the outcomes. Have an idea what we're looking for. What are our projected, and we refer to as goals. What are our projected goals? What do we expect to happen here? Fixing accountability for achieving those goals. Okay, who's being held, who's supposed to be executing on this, and who's holding them responsible. Ongoing assessment of accomplishment. They do check-ins, and they do them. They're done daily, weekly, monthly, and quarterly. Strategic vision. Catalyst for building trust. Foundation for the development of an organization's strategy. Identifies where the organization is presently and defines the future. A challenge that motivates. Identifies what the department must do. Provides a sense of purpose. So a strategic vision is like, this is who we are and this is where we are now, but this is where we want to go in the future. And it challenges, it motivates. People can see, if you can paint a rosy picture for them, a positive picture for them, people can see that and they can believe that, and it's something that can motivate them to strive for. And also, it's letting the department know the things that you have to do. These are not optional. If we're going to try to get here, these are the things that we have to do, and everybody understands what that is. And of course, the purpose, the shared purpose. Organizational vision should focus on the organization's mission, link the present to the future, establish a standard for excellence, guide unit action and accomplishments, have a yardstick by which to measure organizational effort, have a standard for judging individual effort and behavior, reflect the organization's core positive values. So when you look at this, I see a couple of things that jumping out at you. You talk about having something overall for the organization, breaking it down, understanding what each unit and mission group is supposed to do, recognizing when they achieve things, having a way to measure success. What defines your success? Having a way to measure it. Recognizing individuals when they go beyond the call of duty and they do things. And everybody's going to be reflecting on the core positive values of the organization. Organizational strategy. Set organizational direction, translate vision, mission, and values into action, defines a way that will achieve mission and goals. So now you look at organization, now we're talking about the boots on the ground. How do they actually go about doing things? Defines a way, the mission and the vision of the goals. How do they go about doing stuff? The action. This is where the stuff that started at the top with vision and strategy now is kind of operational strategy. How do we go about doing things? Characteristics of a strategy. It describes a purpose, a value to the manager and to organization. It is operationally feasible. It takes advantage of competencies and capabilities of individuals involved. It will attain the support of stakeholders. It achieves its purpose. It is ethical. So when you have a strategy, it is multifaceted. It's something that people can see. It makes sense to them. You're going to take advantage of your capabilities, your competencies from not only but within the department, but get down to each unit and to individuals. It will attain the support of stakeholders. It's something that people will buy into. It makes sense to them, the stakeholders, internal and external. And of course, it has to be ethical. It can't be something that is unethical that you're talking about doing. For instance, if you go down here to do a high crime initiative and you go into an area and you just go in the area and start heavy-handedly locking up people for just walking on the wrong side of the road and chewing gum and walking and walking against the red light and stuff, that's not high crime. And that's not something that, now it's not illegal, but it's something that the community would not embrace. Organizational strategy should identify the department's mission, how the mission will be accomplished, how the department will relate to the community, how the department will organize to achieve its mission, how the department will structure its service delivery, what core values should be adopted and supported, what performance outcomes should be accomplished, how outcomes will be measured, who is accountable for achieving those outcomes. So when you look at that organizational mission, it ultimately boils down to, from the top, from the vision and strategy down to the bottom, okay, who's executing on this? How are we holding them accountable? How can we measure this? One of the ways I can tell you it can be measured with law enforcement agencies, a lot of times, it's crime statistics. So you look at the statistics and you see where you've had increases or you've had decreases. And if you've had decreases after you start a certain initiative, the statistics will go down. And you can see that, you can measure that. But they put a lot of credence into statistics to make sure that they can say, what a cause and effect. that we had on those types of crimes. Crafting a strategy. First, understanding the public safety needs of the community and the department's ability to fulfill those needs. So when you understand what's needed in the community, so if you have a community where certain types of crime is happening, you have to have an initiative that deals with that type of crime. It's not all crime is equal. No, it's a certain type. Obtain information from the department's database on crime and public safety demand. So getting that data to help you track, see what's going on. And engage, interact, and dialogue with the community to understand its needs and the manner in which the department's core functions respond to. So these are things when you're crafting that strategy, you're looking at and you're trying to look at, like I said, you're always engaging, talk to the community. If you are in touch with the community, remember they live there. If they are telling you what's going on out there, that is a good source. And if they trust you and you've established a relationship with you, they will do that. Strategy development connects external reality with internal capability, outside in thinking. So when you connect the external reality with the internal capability, so basically what they believe out there, we're going to tie that into what we are capable of doing. And so you tie that into there. And if there's an issue, if you don't have alignment there, then you have to address that based on accurate and timely information. So remember I told you information is constantly coming in and out, going in, out, in, out. This is how they have timely information, because everything's constantly moving. Everything's constantly on the go. Considers conditions in the external environment, political power and threats. So when you're dealing with this type of stuff, you also have to take in consideration, I'm going to say, unfortunately, political type things, power and threats. And you have to take that consideration, because that can determine also your funding, how you're viewed by the mayor and the mayor's office and other people in the city council who have input on your budget. Understands the capabilities of the internal environment inside out. Understands, exactly, just like the outside in, how that stuff has to be aligned, the inside out has to be aligned as well. Obtain information from the community by conducting community surveys, forums, town halls. Just listen. Bottom line is be out there in the community in any capacity. Go when they have community functions. Of course, you respond to crimes or whatever else, but have the patrols going on foot, have patrols going on cars. In the summertime, you may even use some bicycles or motorcycles. Measure and offer rewards for people who provide information. Just be out there with the community. Get the community to understand and believe that you're there to help, not there to hurt. Critical strategy question. How does the department achieve desired outcomes in light of the organization's current situation and resources? Outcomes are the ends and the strategy is the means for which achieving them. A strategy is more than just a process developed in advance that contains a set of intended actions to be carried out. New circumstances always emerge, and the future is not always what we expect. Therefore, it is appropriate to think of a strategy as being both proactive, intended, and reactive, adaptive. And that is exactly how it works. You come up with a strategy and you tweak it as you need to based upon things changing. But by doing that, you're still much better off than not having anything at all. But you tweak it based on how things change. And a lot of times that's dictated by it's infinite number of things why that's could be. It could be political, it could be crime wave, it could be budgetary, it could be disciplinary, it could be restructuring. All types of things come into play why you would need to be. But in order to execute on the strategy and be successful, it must be vision and strategy is actually ultimately put into a proactive mode, but reactive when it needs to be. That concludes this chapter.